The numbers only tell you part of the story because the running game of the Buckeyes was pivotal to how efficient the Buckeyes offense was over the weekend in a big win over Western Kentucky.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Buckeye fans? Welcome back to another episode of Locked On Buckeyes for the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast. It is Tuesday, September 19th in the year 2023, and this episode is brought to us by our friends at Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. During today's episode, we will discuss the massive improvement we saw from the Buckeyes offensive line on Saturday, and I will also unveil my college football top 10. But first, the rewatch was something that going into it, I kind of thought we had the story of the game. Kyle McCord efficient, only 4 completions, 3 passing touchdowns, over 300 passing yards. Marv got loose. Abuka got loose. K-Stover got a few catches, and the offense just flowed. Defensively, they were in control of the game most of the time. And so when it comes to this game specifically, it's not so much the opponent that you're looking at and saying, well, how can we evaluate the game, the rewatch, based off the opponent? That's not how you do it. What did the team do, positively or negatively, that impacted the final outcome? And a lot of these things that we saw in the rewatch were positive. There were a few things that we may touch on during tomorrow's show. That's not set in stone, just a thought, because of some things that we witnessed during the game over the weekend defensively. But offensively, when I look at this team, we see the numbers offensively. We see the passing yards. We even see a freshman in Cardinal Tate get his first time getting on the field. Catching his first touchdown pass of his career. And I'm like, okay, great. This is a great sign of things to come in the future. What about the guys that were in the game most of the time? What did they do offensively to impact the final outcome? The passing game gets a lot of the conversation, a lot of the attention, but my eyeballs were fixated on the running game of the Buckeyes. The final numbers don't really tell you a full story as far as, did they have a 100-yard rusher? No. Did they have a guy that really just went off? Kinda. But what you saw was TreVeyon, 13 carries. Trayanum, 5 carries. Mayan, 5 carries. When those 3 backs were on the field, you could even add in another running back in Evan Pryor, 3 carries for 12 yards. And Xavier Johnson's kind of a Swiss Army knife. They played him at running back a little bit as well. 2 carries, 13 yards. Just efficient. Getting in there, not trying to do too much, trying to stay within the confines of the playbook, and realizing we're not going to get all of the touches we used to get a year ago under the old rules. Also, we might not always get the touches we used to get with the new rules because of how quick the offense can score and how quickly the offense scored on Saturday. But TreVeyon Henderson, I have been critical of him. We have seen some better play of him lately. Chip Trayanum, I still think that man needs at least 10 to 15 touches a game. You can say 15 to 18 touches. And maybe if it's passing game, running game, whatever it might be, I do believe Chip needs the ball in his hand more. And with them using Mayan Williams in more of a lesser role, I wonder, is that just going to be his role for the rest of the season? Or during the Notre Dame game and beyond, will we see Mayan have a bigger piece of the pie, bigger role with the Buckeyes offense? Whatever it is, these running backs are just coming in, not trying to be outside of themselves and doing their job. And TreVeyon Henderson, yes, he had a second game where he hurdled over a defender. I would never advise somebody to make that move, ever, ever, ever. Not in the way that he's doing it. Now, if somebody is down a little bit lower and all of a sudden you know you can get around them in that way, great. But man, he's jumping. Now, how about explosive, athletic human beings? TreVeyon Henderson fits that bill. Now, Combine, assuming he goes and declares for the NFL draft, maybe after this year or next year, what are you going to see at the combine? You're going to see a guy that's probably going to test very well. Decent to above average 40 time. Not saying he's going to be blazing fast, but he has good speed for a running back. What else are you going to see? He has some decent hands. Those will be on display. What else will you see? And the measurables, the 3-cone drill, the broad jump, the vertical, you're probably going to see a guy that tests very well. Now, I know that's at the earliest in February, if not February, the following February, when those type of tests will be performed by TreVeyon Henderson. So I'm not going to try to get too far ahead of ourselves, but you're looking at a guy who was going to test very well at the events, the combine, the pro day, etc. Those events like that. But the running game's not one person. The offensive line did a lot better job, a lot better than they have been, of consistently moving a man across from them. That also goes to the coaches, and I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. It also goes to Ryan Day and Heartline realizing, hey, what are the strengths of our offense in the running game category? Do we need to have a guy rush for 100, 125, 150 every game? No, you don't. The Buckeyes have always had really good running backs, and you can go back to J.K. Dobbins. Trey Sermon came in during 2020, really had a phenomenal run towards the end of the season during that shortened year in college football. He did phenomenal things there. Mike Weber, really, really good. Carlos Hyde, really, really good. Boom Herron, good running back. Beanie Wells, good running back. I mean, I could go, man, it's 15, 20, 30, 40 years of really good running back play at Ohio. Keith Byers, Eddie George. Do I need to keep going? Maurice Clarett. I could go on and on and on. They have a history of really good running back play. A good running back is one thing. Having an offense that fits the running back that is there is another thing. Having an offensive line that is being able to cater to the strengths of the back behind them is another. But also, these coaches are figuring something out slowly. Now, we're only in the first quarter, completed the first quarter of the Buckeye season. Quarters, there's breaking out into fours, 3, 6, 9, 12. Finished the first 3 games of the season, and so we don't fully have a full picture of what the Buckeyes can be offensively, defensively, or as an entire team. Not there yet. We'll get more of that when we get to the halfway mark, the 6-game mark of the season, when we finish the second quarter of the season, to get a better idea of what this Buckeye team offensively, defensively, overall might be this season. But for right now, through the first 3 games of the year, we have seen an improved running game. Consistent running game. Would I love to have a Buckeye that had 125 to 150 rushing yards in a game? Yes. Is that going to happen? Maybe. But if it doesn't, we're seeing a team that is quickly adjusting to the skill sets of the athletes that are on the field for the Buckeyes offense, especially in the run game category. If things keep going the way they are and things keep getting better, what are we going to see? We're going to see a Buckeye football team. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. That will make a lot of noise down the road because of how efficient they are running the football. You can't be efficient running the football if the guys blocking for the backs aren't doing their jobs well. The O-line took a massive step forward over the weekend. I'll unveil what the rewatch told me about this group of 5 next on Locked On Buckeyes. This episode is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel Sportsbook. Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn and kick off the NFL season. Once again, visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. This episode is also brought to you by our friends at Billiards Plus. Billiards Plus has the best selection of pool tables, game tables, shuffleboard tables, and more, and the best service in Central Ohio. And did you know? Billiards Plus has top-of-the-line grills with up to 30-year warranties. That's longer than most roofs. Billiards Plus carries the best pool tables from Brunswick, Alhassan, Canada, Billiards, and more. Plus, top-of-the-line grills from PK, Napoleon, Memphis, and the Griddle that could very well be the last grill you own. The perfect gift for any occasion is in stock at Billiards Plus. Go big with an awesome pool table or shuffleboard table, or a little more modest with a dartboard or poker table. No matter the season, Billiards Plus has you covered for all your indoor and outdoor entertainment needs. And the people at Billiards Plus are the best part of the experience. Kenny, Sarah, and the whole staff will take amazing care of you. Billiards Plus, visit their showroom on Dublin Center Drive in Dublin. The college football season is here, and this season, Locked On is kicking up our coverage with Locked On College Football Kickoff Live. Each Friday, Locked On will go live from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern on every Locked On College YouTube channel. College Football Kickoff Live will cover playoff implications, the conference rivalry games, and go in-depth like only Locked On can, including insight and analysis from our stable of Locked On College hosts covering their team every day. Find Locked On College Football Kickoff Live every Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Time on any Locked On College YouTube channel. You won't want to miss it. You also won't want to miss what's going to happen with the Buckeyes offensive line if the improvement we saw from them over the weekend continues going forward against Notre Dame and beyond. Why? Because we could be, and I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. I realize, yes, it's only one game, but we could be in the midst and looking at a Buckeyes team that could be using the same five on the offensive line, the same unit that struggled a little bit while playing the football early in the season against Indiana, against Youngstown State. A unit that has three new starters, and a unit that has a new guy at left tackle, former G5 player who is now playing at Ohio State, who is also playing left tackle for the first time in his life. There are so many variables involved with this. Might I add, you have a new quarterback who is going to be communicating with this group of five, and you have Donovan Jackson and Matthew Jones looking to work with new players on the right and left sides of them respectively. So what do you have? So many variables with this unit that when we say, hey, the offensive line is not playing good, do you realize the context and how serious their play is to the importance of the offense flowing? Do we all realize what goes into being a starting offensive lineman at Ohio State or being a starting O-lineman on any level of football? A lot of times most people don't. However, with this position being one of the hardest ones to depict and to say, oh, he's doing his job and he's not doing his job, you're going to hear a lot of people that will come out and say different things about the unit, and some of the things they're saying don't make sense. What does make sense is this. The offensive line did a phenomenal job over the weekend showing the improvement in improving their play. They give up a sack. It was one of those things that even during the broadcast, I went back and watched the TV copy there. Brock Hewitt, former NFL quarterback, ended up making a statement saying, as a quarterback, you have your internal clock. Now, Kyle McCord is getting his first time consistently playing back-to-back games. Also, first-time, full-time starter at Ohio State. So the speed of the game is faster to him than it ever has been in college, or consistently. It may have been ultra fast when he was doing it when he first got to college, going from high school to college. Won't throw that out the window and say that's not an option, but no. It's coming, man. It's coming at you. And I thought initially that play was blocked very, very well. Pocket was there, but you had if you hold your block a half second longer, I forget which right side of the offensive line, that one lineman on the right side of the line was the one that gave up that sack, but a half second longer or 0.75 seconds longer, whatever it is, what do you find? That might not be a sack. But credit Western Kentucky, credit Youngstown State, credit Indiana for finding a way to make sometimes the offensive line of Ohio State a little flustered and frustrated in the way they're playing the football. But really during the rewatch, the O-line showed a lot of improvement, man. A lot of improvement. From Simmons to Jackson to Hinzman to Jones to Fryer. They made a lot and showed a lot of improvement. And I think this could be a sign of good things to come. And it's not just in the passing game where they showed improvement, but the offensive line, the run game, a lot of those runs that, and I didn't mention something earlier in the run game conversation. We're going to give a player props for doing some phenomenal things in the run blocking category. We'll touch on that here in a second. But man, a lot of these runs Henderson has, there is a hole, or if it's an outside stretch type of run, but he can get to the second level sometimes untouched. Why? Because the offensive linemen are taking a sense of pride. I don't know this firsthand. I haven't talked to them. I can just watch the film and feel like they're taking a sense of pride in their play, in their work, in their productivity, and saying, "Hey, if I play as negative and it's negatively impacting the players that are around me, how about I dig within myself, find a way to be a little bit more productive on the field, so that at the end of the day, what are we looking at? Looking at a Buckeye football team that is good, and they're so good." Ultimately, at the end of the day, they're so good that you can't criticize them. You won't be able to come out and say, so-and-so did this wrong. So-and-so did that wrong. Why? Because that unit that it's been so easy to point the finger at and say, oh, that's bad, that's bad, that's bad. Because that unit there, specifically this one, it's gotten better and a lot better. I did not think between weeks 2 and 3, the Buckeyes would take this massive step forward with their play on the offensive line. Didn't think so at all. Was it in my thoughts? Was it in my head? Was nowhere to be found. But I'm glad it happened. Now, let's go back to the running game conversation a little bit earlier in the show. And I'm there in the stadium watching the game, and wife is next to me. Elementary school principal's to my right, and 100,217 people were at the game on Saturday. I'm like, wow, this is insane. Every time I go in the shoe, I'm just amazed at how many people flock to Columbus to watch the boys play. Henderson gets to run. I forget if it was the right side or the left side of the line at this time, so forgive me for that. But Henderson gets the ball, gets a handoff. Henderson runs, scores a touchdown. And I remember in the moment, didn't see the entire block from this receiver, but all I saw was number 4. And all I saw was his shoulder running the defender back towards the line of scrimmage, away from the blocker who was going to come right behind him off his hip. Henderson goes outside. Fleming pushes this guy inside diagonally back towards the line of scrimmage. And this was not after. And in the rewatch, I saw Julian Fleming went to the block. He engaged, had control. The defender tried to steer him a different way. Fleming saw where the ball was coming. Said, okay, cool. I'll allow you to use your momentum to help my guy get to the end zone. The other time Henderson scored in this game, who was outside blocking as a lead blocker as a receiver, blocking downfield? Julian Fleming, the young man who gets a lot of negative attention because he's not as big of a piece of the pie in the passing game as some Buckeye fans believe the third receiver should be. And I believe, and I thought we would get more from Fleming in the pass catching game. Hasn't happened yet. What we have got is this: a man who knows his role and is consistently doing his role very, very well. Julian Fleming, wide receivers blocking downfield. I love to see it, and I hope you do too, because my gut tells me we're going to get more of that from number 4 later on this season. What we will get later on this season is me unveiling my top 10 in college football. Every week, beginning of the week, I will be unveiling my top 10. Didn't do it yesterday. Got the paper in front of me with my ballot. Who is in my top 10 in college football at the end of week 3? I'll unveil that next on Locked On Buckeyes. This episode is brought to you by our friends at Gametime. Buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be stressful. Gametime is a fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. Forget planning months in advance. Gametime has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. The Gametime guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. Get images of your seat before you buy so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. Buy tickets in a matter of seconds, 2 taps, and you're set. Tickets are sent directly to your phone so you never have to dig through your email. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Your Ohio State Buckeyes play the Notre Dame Fighting Irish Saturday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Catch every snap of the Buckeyes' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Search Buckeyes. My top 10 is something that I have enjoyed doing each week. It's not only a way for me to kind of exercise and look at and see where teams fall in college football, but also it goes to kind of seeing how there's always going to be an ebb and flow in how things go in the sport. 10 through 1, I will say that we could go ahead. The Buckeyes, I do believe at 8. They're not at 8 this week. They're up 1 at number 7. I always try to do my top 10 and look at each week, compile things, the notes and the news from the season, remember what's happened, take notes, but then realize who is my favorite to win the Natty, who's number 2, number 3, number 4, so on and so forth. Do I think the Buckeyes at the end of the season will be the my seventh favorite to win the Natty? No. But right now, it's kind of where things are. First 2 games of the season are why they are at number 7. If they played every game like they did it over the weekend, there's a good chance they'd be in the top 3, top 2, or maybe even number 1. 10 through 1, my top 10 in college football after 3 weeks played in the sport. Number 10, Oregon. This is one that was going to be hard because I wanted to put Oklahoma at 10. Oklahoma's 11. Oregon, number 10. Number 9, Washington. Number 8, Notre Dame. Might I add real quick, though, to the number 10 team, number 9 team, 4B. Those are future Big Ten teams. Number 8 is Notre Dame. That's a team the Buckeyes are playing in a few days. So 2 future Big Ten teams, a team in the Midwest and Notre Dame that should be in the Big Ten. My guess is within the next 2 to 5 years, they will be in the Big Ten football conference. Number 7, Ohio State. Number 6, Michigan. Really close to having the Buckeyes jump them. Couldn't do it. Number 5, Penn State. Number 4, USC. Number 3, Texas. Number 2, Florida State. Number 1, Georgia. My thought after the first 2 Colorado games, I know I'm throwing Dion or Coach Prime or whatever you want to refer to him as in this conversation because I thought, hey, maybe, just maybe, if they blow out Colorado State and make a big statement against their rival, which really Colorado State ain't that good, but whatever it is. If Colorado blew them out, say 60 to 23, 24, whatever it may have been, it's a big ask. But if it happened, probably would have had Colorado closer to the top 10. Don't think they're a top 10 team, but probably would have had Colorado closer to the top 10. Colorado right now in my ballot is number 16. Alabama's 13. I was really close to putting them outside the top 15. I don't trust that team right now. Realize they named and announced a starting quarterback. Cool. Great. The O-line issues that I saw, they're still going to be there. And so I did this now. I do think Alabama, I don't know if they're going to beat Ole Miss on Saturday, but if they happen to lose, I mean, of course, they lose outside the top 25. If they win, but it's not a convincing win, they still might be 13, 14, or 15 in my ballot, and Colorado might jump them. Wow. What a time to be alive and to be a college football fan. Another Big Ten team I had in my top 25 is Iowa, and forgive me, I believe Iowa's number 23 right now in my ballot. I am looking forward to the rest of the season. Georgia's schedule's pretty easy. Michigan's schedule's pretty easy. Florida State and Texas, looking to see if they can continue this path they are on. Oklahoma and Oregon, watch out. These two can make some noise, as well as Washington. The winner of Notre Dame, Ohio State, depending on how the game is played, very well, they'll probably be a top 5 team. Like, just being honest. If Ohio State wins or Notre Dame wins, you'll probably see me next week in my top 10 say the winner of that matchup is a top 5 team in my ballot going forward. Do I think there'll be a playoff team? That's a different conversation. The top 4 teams right now on my ballot are all the teams that I'll put in the playoff. Sorry, Buckeye fans. I can't do it yet. The good thing is we've only played 3 games so far. Well, the Buckeyes have, not me. I ain't playing. I'm here behind a microphone talking to you. But when that time comes, get more games, get more improvements, get some losses from teams that are in the top 10, top 15, top 20. What are we going to see? The Buckeyes keep getting better and winning. Man, they will be top 5, top 4, top 3, maybe number 1 down the road. It's a big ask, man. Notre Dame's a good football team. It's a big ask, man, to try to figure out a way for the Buckeyes offensively and defensively to put a 4-quarter game together that allows them to propel them to victory over the Fighting Irish. It can be done. It's still a tall task when you're going on the road, Notre Dame Stadium, South Bend, Indiana, to play that team in prime time. Out of here, guys, on a Tuesday. You can follow me on X at JStevens07. That is also known as Twitter. You can also send your emails to jstevens317@gmail.com. We're out of here on a Tuesday. Buckeye fans, be back tomorrow for our stock watch, stock up, stock down, and also turning the page to looking towards the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Might do a little by the number segment tomorrow to try to compare the two teams, try to change things up. Let's see how we change things up tomorrow on the show. Tune in, subscribe to Locked On Buckeyes, so you don't miss a beat.